After months of waiting, the Genesis Trufoam is finally here. We first caught wind of this paddle at PPA Worlds in 2023, and I first got my hands on this paddle back in November of 2024, ironically also at PPA Worlds. CRBN really took their time with this paddle, and for good reason. They have created a completely unique core from the ground up. Their hope is to have created a high-performing paddle that lasts longer and should not be in jeopardy of getting delisted. Before we jump into the specs, it would mean a lot if you could hit the subscribe button. These videos do take a good amount of time and effort, and subscribing really helps the growth of my channel. Also, a small disclaimer in that CRBN did provide me with these paddles to test, but no review was promised, no money exchanged hands, and all thoughts are my own. With that out of the way, let's jump into some specs. These paddles come in at 14 millimeters. The Genesis Trufoam comes in 3 shapes for now, which are the 1, 2, and 3. The 1 is an elongated coming in at 16.5 by 7.35. The 2 is a wide body coming in at 16 by 7.85. And the 3 is also elongated coming in at 16.5 by 7.5 inches. There is a rumored 4 shape on the way, which will be a true hybrid, but there is no firm timeline for that release at this time. The core of this paddle is 100% foam and has a unique design that CRBN has spent 18 months perfecting. The grip length of the 1 is 5.5 inches, with the 2 and 3 coming in at 5.25 inches. The swing weight of the 1 came in at 117, with a twist weight of 5.5 and a static weight of 8 ounces. The swing weight of the 2 came in at 113, with a twist weight of 6.7 and a static weight of 8 ounces. And lastly, my 3 came in with a swing weight of 121 and a twist weight of 6.15, and with a static weight of 8.3 ounces. CRBN offers a 1-year warranty. The price of this paddle is $279.99, but with code JJPB, the price does come down to $252. After playtesting these paddles over the last few months, my thoughts have changed quite a bit. When I first hit the Genesis Trufoam at Worlds, I noticed a lot of inconsistencies in power. The paddle would hit like all court on some shots, but then occasionally would rocket off the top middle of the face, similar to that of the Chorus Fire. However, CRBN has made some adjustments, and when I got my test units, I have not experienced this once. This is likely due to an adjustment that CRBN made of the surface layup, as the face is made up of several layers of carbon fiber with an additional bottom layer only near the sweet spot, which consists of fiberglass. The feel of the Genesis is hard to explain, and there aren't really any good comparisons on the market. What I can say is, it does not feel like any previous foam-enhanced paddles, but it also feels very different than your traditional polycore. It does have similar characteristics in feel to that of the upcoming Selkirk Lab 008, but the paddle feels just a little less hollow than that of the 008. These paddles get great dwell time, and the intent behind that fiberglass bottom layer is that you can generate a little extra pop and power on larger swings. Sticking on the topic of dwell time, these paddles are insane. If you love shaping the ball with great feel, you are going to love the Genesis. Specifically tennis players who like shaping the ball with the feeling of that ball sticking on the face longer, allowing for that added precision and ball placement. My spin test came back around 2,100 RPMs as an average across the 3 shapes. This is on the higher end of paddles I have tested. Comparing the Genesis to CRBN's original X series, I did notice a little more power, which I was not expecting. And just for clarification, that's on a non-delaminated original X series. This paddle stock is on the lower level of power, but I did add some additional weight to the sides of this paddle and noticed a good jump in my plow through for the 1 shape. I actually recently spent an afternoon testing 14 paddles that are upcoming or recently released to get a better understanding of where these paddles line up with power. My Genesis 1, with 2 grams of added tungsten added to each side, came back with an average speed of 52.6 miles per hour and a top speed of 55 miles per hour. Sticking with the average speeds, the Genesis came in below the 14mm 3S, which had an average speed of 53.6 miles per hour. It also came in lower than the Proton Flamingo at 55.3 miles per hour, and the Paddletech TKO CX at 53.7 miles per hour. The Genesis did hit harder than that of the upcoming Pickleball Apes Pulse X, which was 50.7 miles per hour, and the upcoming J2 Ti Plus, which was 51 miles per hour. In summary, the Genesis Trufoam is not a hyper power paddle. I would still classify this as a power paddle, especially with the delisting of the Gearbox Pro Power and the Mod TA15, and the consistent delay of the Rhombus Ripple. The Genesis has good pop, but if you are wanting something with high pop like the Yola 3S's or the Paddletechs, then this likely is not the paddle for you. The sweet spot on the Genesis line is solid, but it is not its selling point. If you are someone who struggles with finding the sweet spot, these aren't bad options, but if you are a fan of the wide body shapes, then I would steer you towards the 2. Everyone that I let hit the 2 shape fell in love with the paddle during their playtesting, with having great touch, control, and spin. I personally gravitated towards the 1 shape for the longer handle, but if you want just a little more surface space to use, then I would go with the 3, which has a slightly shorter handle to compensate for its longer face. The Genesis is an amazing paddle that is pushing innovation for longer lasting cores. I have personally been maining this paddle alongside my Proton Project Flamingo, and the simple reason is I can't put it down. While my Flamingo offers me just a little more power and pop, when I want to hit sharper drops or slow the game down a bit while still being able to be aggressive, I switch to the Genesis 1. Both of these paddles have been my consistent answer when asked what I've been playing with over the last few months in my Instagram DMs and my comment sections, and I don't expect them to leave my bag for a long time. The one thing I really want to highlight to anyone thinking about buying this paddle is that it doesn't really have an attribute in performance that will blow you away. If you know your play style and know exactly what you want, then you likely have already made up your mind during the performance section of this review. If nothing stood out to you, I would advise you to watch some other reviews on this paddle before spending $280. On another note, I would recommend this paddle to anyone who is looking for a lower end power paddle. Those who can generate their own speed, value high spin, and just want that added control that a lot of the hyper power paddles are missing will likely love this paddle. If you are a big fan of wide body shapes, I think that the 2 will be a big hit for this group. I would not recommend this paddle to anyone who is price sensitive, as the Genesis just really doesn't offer any flashy performance that we have not seen before. The main value prop of this paddle is the promise of durability, and if that holds true, I think this paddle will be very popular for pickleball players this year. Thank you for watching my review on the Genesis Trufoam paddles from CRBN. If you have any questions for me, feel free to drop those down below, and with that, I'll see you next time.